And we are live. Hello, Castians out there. I hope you are all having an amazing day. We are here to bring you another AMA. We're doing this more regularly now. I'm hosting this, and today I have Sebastian with us, the CTO. How are you doing, Sebastian?
All good, thanks. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining on this week.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
There's been a lot of people asking about, tech-related questions, so I think it's the perfect time to bring you on board. And we're gonna try to keep this AMA like the other one for 30 minutes. And the plan is to do this more frequently, like I said, bring people on board from the team or investors or advisors, so we can talk a bit about their experience and what they brought or what they bring over to Kasta to the table, so to speak. But now let's keep it tech focused. And we actually have a lot of questions that we've seen on Telegram and over on Twitter already. So we gathered a bunch of questions, 12 questions actually. So we're going to go through these 12 questions. And if the time allows us, we will try and get some of the questions from the live chat. How does that sound to you, Sebastian?
I think that sounds great. Let's go for it.
Awesome. But first of all, let's maybe talk a bit about you and me, how we know each other. We've actually known each other for a long time. We've known each other since high school, so it's about 14 years now. And we were very good mates over there. And we actually started a startup together as well that we ran for a while. But after that startup, we went separate ways, and we both started working for e-gaming companies. Maybe you could tell a bit about that experience and, overall your tech experience and what you bring to Kasta.
Yeah, sure. So before starting that e-gaming company or started working at that e-gaming company, I actually went to university. So I had a bunch of programming experience before that, but I wanted to see if that was a place where I could sort of deepen my skills. And it was a really fun experience. And since I had a coding background, I was able to make a bit of money teaching other students to program. But after that, as you mentioned, I went to that e-gaming company. So it was actually a sportsbook provider to other e-gaming companies. The company was called Kambi, and it's sort of known in Sweden as for having like some of Sweden's best developers there. So it was a really good place to sort of become better as a developer. And I mean, the sort of e-gaming world is full of money, like monetary transactions. It's a regulated environment. So just the experience of that domain is also like really valuable, I think, for for what we're doing here at Kasta.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Crypto is a regulatory environment, right? And it's going to be more and more as we see coming up. So having that experience with this and bringing this on board Kasta is, of course, very valuable. And actually, most of the founders, like you, me, and Hans, have all been working in the e-gaming industry and been exposed to this regulatory environment. So to have you on board with this experience and the amazing tech experience that you have, I mean, like you said, Kambi, right? It's one of the best companies to work in for developers and have the most experienced developers on board, right? And you got in there as your first job, so that's amazing too. And
exactly, like I'm so thankful for that experience. But after a few years, it sort of felt like I had learned the ins and out of that organization, and I wanted to try something new. And I'm sort of biased towards like novelty. Like I want to try new things every after a couple of years, I sort of want to really start learning something new. So then I started at a project at Ericsson where we built like a private cloud for the developers in-house at Ericsson. And the point of that like private cloud was that it was supposed to have security built into it. So we sort of built a secure cloud infrastructure from scratch, which was also very interesting. They opted for like a service mesh sort of zero trust model with their applications. which meant sort of that they, instead of having like demilitarized zones inside of their application environment, they had like each application had to have like really granular permissions to talk to anything else in the system. And that was also like just deepened my experience with software security overall, and infrastructure security as well. And another thing that I actually got to do there was that I got some leadership experience, and so I quite like quickly became like a tech lead, because they sort of noticed that I had a good way of architecting applications, and I was also pretty good at communicating with others. So they wanted me to sort of take charge of how we developed things there. And later, like a year after that or something, I sort of rose to the level of an architect, which was also like another like really fun experience, and I think very like useful as well.
And I mean, your communication skills, like you said, and you're amazing at teaching other people, right? I mean, during your times at university, you actually worked as a how do you say, teacher, like you said. I mean, so only that, you know, proves your experience in leading and, you know, teaching others, and your tech experience overall. But so you went from two big companies, and you brought a lot of skills from there. And now we are doing a startup together. And can you tell the Castians out there, you know, why you and me started Kasta? Because actually it was you and me who founded the company at first. And, you know, we've been building this. I've said 1.5 years a few times, but we're approaching 2 years soon that we've been building this product, right?
Exactly. I think you and I sort of reconnected like New Year's 2020. So like that must have been 2 years and 3 months ago now, almost. And we sort of connected over the idea of, hey, let's do a startup again. Like I mean, we've always been sort of aligned in our like our values and our ideals, and then also like we're sort of at that age where we want to like make an impact in the world. Like we want to do something that we are really passionate about. And then we started just having like a bunch of talks together, and talking about like, okay, how can we actually impact the world? And then we sort of leaned into crypto, right? Like personal sovereignty is something that's like super important for us. So like, what can we do to improve that for everyone?
Yeah. And then the pain points that we had as well. Like I've said to the Castians out there, you know, I had another company, Bitcoin Census, and all of my assets are in crypto. And then you and me pretty quickly found the pain point in our everyday life, right? So of using it as a medium of exchange. And that's, you know, where we really wanted to change stuff. So I'm really happy to be working with you, Sebastian. We've done startups before. We've known each other for a very long time. We have this trust layer. We know how each other work, and that, you know, can be very hard to begin with if you start working with new people, right? You don't really have that trust layer. You don't know their real experience, etc. But we have that from the beginning, and we've been doing this for a lot of years. So yeah, I'm very happy to be doing this with you again, Sebastian.
Yeah, same goes for you, man. And I mean, doing it with your friends is then you'll also get to have a lot of fun on the way. That's important.
Yeah, and that's how we build a corporate culture in the company as well, right? So it aligns. We were both pretty tired, you know, of the big corporations that we used to work for and some toxic environment, and that's also something that we wanted to change with Kasta and the company culture that we want our employees to have in that sense. But what do you think? Do you think it's time for a few questions that we gathered that we saw from Telegram and Twitter? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go for it.
So the first question that we have is, what qualifications does Sebastian have to actually be a CTO? So can you tell the Castians out there a bit about that, your qualifications?
Yeah, sure. So that sort of goes back to my background, right? For couple of years now, I've been building systems that are very, very similar. And I've also like gained the leadership experience to sort of take it to the next level as well. We also have startup experience from before, so it's just the fact that all of the parts that goes into creating something like Kasta, I've already done before. Like you and I have already done similar stuff before. We're sort of at that perfect place where we've gained like a lot of experience, but we're also like not old enough to like be tired of this like this startup life essentially. Like we have a lot.
Hungry, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
So I think I'm the perfect person for the job, essentially.
I think so too, and you're doing an amazing job so far, for sure. And there's been a lot of questions. We got a lot of questions in the AMA that I had together with Hans last week, and it's about security. So the first question about that is, can you talk a bit more about your security processes that you have within the company?
Yes, for sure. So security is actually a really complex topic, but I'm going to try and talk about it as well as I can. But security for us is weaved into every level of the company, essentially. So it's in our day-to-day working processes, and it's also like just at the level of the code, as well as like at the partner level, at like which partners we choose to sort of work with. So in terms of code, for example, I can give some examples. Like everything is encrypted in transit, everything is encrypted at rest, everything is redundant, so it's like geographically replicated all over the place, so that I mean, if there would be a natural disaster somewhere, we wouldn't be affected by that, like other companies maybe. And we also have a proper CI/CD pipeline where we can do static analysis on our code. We have automated tests. We're going to have manual testing. We're going to have like the way the backend architecture is set up is like in a serverless way. It's each sort of function in the system will have the like super restricted privileges. So we're going by the principle of like least privilege, as like it's just a best practice in security. So for example, a function that just gets like is getting user data, for example, like the username and the username and maybe like phone number or something, like it would only have access to the user data. It doesn't need access to transaction data, so it wouldn't, even if it wanted to reach out to that data, it wouldn't be possible. Yeah, I mean, we're using AWS for like they sort of have this nailed down to a science, essentially.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, but if we dig a bit deeper to this, why did you choose this type of, I'm not a tech person in that sense. You're the tech genius here, but why did you choose to work in this way? And, all the precautions that you did, is this something you bring from your old company, or, the ways of working with security?
It definitely is. So in the job I had at Ericsson there, like I got to know what it means to build like enterprise level security from scratch. And I think a company that wants to focus more on payments, for example, doesn't have you can't have 100% focus on like payments and 100% focus on like infrastructure. You have to choose either or. So we chose to sort of have partners for our infrastructure. For example, for our backend, like just hosting the application code, but also for the funds. So for our user funds, we want to use like the best in class custodian, and which is in our case Fireblocks. Like they are like the goat when it comes to wallet infrastructure. Like everybody knows that. And why not use them? Why not use a company like $1 billion company is handling our security for us, essentially? and we
Exactly.
focus 100% on making just the best application, like payments application possible.
Yeah. And actually, that was the question that we got. Why are we using third parties for this and not developing it ourselves? And I think you explained that pretty well. I mean, we're using the best out there for our security, so we can bring you the best security out there. And I mean, this company, Fireblocks, also have an insurance fund, right? So if anything happens with funds, it's insured up to a certain level, 42 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Exactly. Yes.
Exactly. And also, we started with SendWire. That's actually what we started with. But can you tell the Castians out there? I mean, this is we've always been looking into other solutions, BitGo. We've looked into Fireblocks. We started with SendWire. Why did you choose now to go with Fireblocks in the end?
So it's just the way they explained their security infrastructure, and comparing that to the explanation that we've sort of received from SendWire. So we've done like really deep technical vetting of these companies, and we deem that the Fireblocks is the partner that we want to go with, because their infrastructure is just so impressive. And that's why that's why we chose them. And we have, like, since we are using partners, we actually have the luxury of being able to choose between different providers, which gives us a lot of flexibility in terms of choosing the best.
Yeah. And like you touched on there as well, this will allow us to focus our time on what we think is most important, is to create this payment solution, right? So then we have the security, and now we can focus on building the features that we want to get out there to the Castians out there, like the easy swap engine, the debit cards, the free and instant payments, and making that the best in the game. And then, of course, like in the future, maybe we will reevaluate and start building it in-house. But to begin with, no, we're doing this with third-party providers like Fireblocks.
At a certain scale, it starts making sense to think about bringing things in-house, but we're definitely not at that scale right now. I mean, that when you sort of start to vertically integrate the entire chain, it's when you're like a multi-billion-dollar company, then it starts making sense.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna get there, but we're not there right now.
Exactly. Cool. And another question that we saw on Twitter, actually, I know it, but I think they will have to hear the questions from you. Do you know anything about tech, Sebastian?
Oh shit! Yes, that's about the only thing that I do know. Yes, I know it.
And that's why you're the CTO. I mean, you bring the tech experience into this, right? And that's how we're building Kasta as well. We have you as the CTO because you're the best in the game. We have Ben now as transitioned into the CMO. He's really experienced in marketing and he's the best at his game. And then we have Hans for product. That's how we do it. And you shouldn't be. Of course, you're working very closely with Hans, but he's the product genius, right? And that's how we're building this. I mean, it would be hard to put you on branding, for example, right?
No, man. I mean, the stuff that goes into the branding and the skill that Hans has is just on another level, to be honest. Like, I'm amazed every day. Like, we talk and work together. That, oh shit! Like, how can he know all of this? So yeah, for sure. Like, you can't build like a beautiful thing without like bringing in like a lot of really good people, and that's exactly what we're doing.
But the thing is, the interesting thing as well is that when we started this company, you and me had to do everything. I was actually coding myself. I was doing front-end coding. You're a full-stack developer, but I was doing the front-end coding. The code on the website is actually done by me up until one point. Now I'm not doing it anymore because I'm focusing on other stuff. But as a startup, you have to do a little bit about everything, right? But now we have the luxury of we have the investments in, right? So now we can bring these really skilled people on board. We're really searching for the best in the game, and that takes a lot of time. And that actually brings me to the next question, because in our roadmap we said that we wanted to release the MVP in late Q1. but it has now been delayed to Q2. So why is the app being delayed, Sebastian? And is there a technical thing that is behind this delay?
Yeah, so you touched on that, on it a bit with hiring. So we have a really high bar when it comes to which developers to bring on board, and like all the people. We like our level of quality that we're looking for is just so high that I think hiring has just taken a lot longer than expected. So that's definitely delayed things quite a lot. Like the development team hasn't grown as fast as we had wished it to grow. I think the trade-off is worth it. Like it's worth it for us to sort of wait for the perfect people, to be honest, rather than rush it. Because it's just, especially the first like a couple of people, they just have such an impact on the company, and that it's important. But then also,
sorry,
go ahead, please.
No, I just wanted to add, and of course, then we want to scale, but we're putting very much effort into the getting, the C-levels with the right experience on board, and now building the structure, like you said, getting the structure in place, which will allow us then now to scale in a much faster pace.
Exactly. Yes. So we've had to build like the operational infrastructure of the company. We've had to build that in order to make the recruiting a lot smoother and easier and of higher quality. So yeah, definitely.
And I mean, what would have happened theoretically, like if we would have released the app sooner and actually rushed it, in your sense? And why are we taking, this approach of actually launching it in Q2 now?
Oh, that's a really good question. So the way I see it actually is that if you sort of build a foundation, like I'm thinking code here actually. So if you build like a foundation that's really crappy, sure, you might be able to get something out there faster, but when you want to add to that foundation, like when you want to add more features, when you want to add, like extend it, that's actually going to take like a lot longer, because like the foundation will sort of crumble under it, and it will also be like a crappier thing that you're throwing out there, a crappier, less secure thing. So I mean, security is also like one of the trade-offs that we don't want to compromise on. So in order to like really polish and make the product sort of at an acceptable level, that has also sort of put a delay to the launch, to be honest.
Cool. We've had a lot of questions about the Easy Swap engine itself. And this is a word I'm having a very hard time to pronunciate, so you might be able to need to help me here, Sebastian. Is the Easy Swap engine proprietary software or code? I think I nailed it, right?
Yeah, you got it right there. Yes, so the code for the backend and app is closed source right now. We may open source it in the future, but for now it's closed source.
Yeah, cool. And how will the fees look like for the Easy Swap engine? Will it be a percentage for the cut that we take if you swap it from Bitcoin to Ethereum, for example?
Yes, so the fee structure will be exactly the same as for regular swaps, and the sort of level of fees will be dependent on how much Kasta you've staked.
Exactly. So the more Kasta you stake, the lower fees, essentially, and that is for the Easy Swap and the swap itself, right?
Exactly. Yes.
And then it comes with a lot of other utilities as well, of course. But in terms of fees, that is it. Let's see. So another question I've seen is for withdrawals, actually. Do you charge, or will Kasta charge Ethereum for sending Ethereum from the Kasta app to another wallet? Will it charge on top of the network fees, or how does this withdrawal fees look like? Or how will it look like?
We will not charge any fee on top of the network fee. So we think that would be just a bad user experience to have that cost money. So we won't charge any service fee on top of that.
No. Okay. And why are we doing it like that?
Just because it's the right thing to do. I mean, what do you think here?
I think it's the right thing to do as well. We shouldn't punish people for withdrawing their funds from Kasta, right? We want to build the absolute best service out there in terms of payments, peer-to-peer payments, and what we want to achieve. But we shouldn't punish people for withdrawing their funds away from Kasta. That's not what we want to do. Of course, we want to keep the funds and have people, use Kasta if they think it's the best platform. But we shouldn't punish them in that sense.
Exactly.
That's totally where we are. Yeah. And another question, because we are a centralized solution, right, to begin with. So how can I see and know the proof of funds? Say that I send 2.5 Ethereum from Coinbase, for example, to the Kasta wallet. And then I send those 2.5 Ethereum within Kasta to another user, Jessica in this example. How can you prove, or how can it be proved that you guys still hold the 2.5 Ethereum and Jessica actually received it, since it's not on the blockchain?
So inside of the app, we will have a history screen where you can see your transaction history. So in this case, Jessica would be able to see in her transaction history that she had received a transaction from you. We also want to add in future, like the possibility for people to sort of get an account statement where they sort of print their or get a PDF of their transaction history.
Exactly. And then, of course, as a sender of money, you'll also be able to see that in your history screen. So
exactly. Yes.
So both parties will, of course, be able to see that. And we actually have a completely new design of the history screen being implemented now, right?
Yeah, I'm actually the one who's been coding that in front of it. It's been super fun, and it looks really, really good, I think, because Hans is the best, of course. Yeah, that's
a big upgrade from the last history screen.
Yeah.
When will is it pushed now, the code?
It's actually like in code review at the moment. So there's I think there's 2 comments left to fix. And after that,
we can see. And we're very close, as we said now, also to the beta release. We've had our internal beta that we within the team have been testing, but now very, very soon we're going to release this beta to a lot more people to get more feedback. We talked a lot about this actually in the last AMA and the long rollout plan, etc. But let's keep it to tech-related questions now. Will the Lightning Network be integrated within Kasta?
So we've definitely been thinking about it, but at the moment we are laser focused on getting the MVP out. And as part of the MVP, Lightning Network is not going to be part of that. But who knows? Maybe in the future. It's definitely interesting, but not guaranteed.
And will the users be able to secure their own funds, like a seed phrase, or will the keys be managed on your side of the app?
So we are a custodial wallet, so we will be managing the keys. You have the option, of course, as we talked about just now, to withdraw the funds and secure them yourself. But yeah, I mean, unless you're a security expert, I think our security is going to be top of the game. So it might be for the everyday person a lot better to have it in Kasta, actually.
And why tell the audience out there, the Castians, why we took this approach? Why are we a custody service, in this sense? Why did we take this approach?
Yeah, definitely. So at the moment, the blockchain ecosystem isn't at a place where we can actually provide fee-less instant transactions, multi-chain. It's the user experience is not possible to the user experience that we want to deliver, at least is not possible to sort of build purely in a 100% decentralized application. So we chose to take the decentralized approach because at the moment it's the best way to build a really, really good UX.
Yeah, and that's what we are all about, right? I say that all the time. I want my dad to start using this, and I want my dad to start purchasing Bitcoin, for example, and then my grandma, so we can send her payments, except for example, across borders, right? If I'm in Italy and she's in Sweden, I would love to send her funds over to Sweden in an instant and easy way, right? So that's why we took this approach, but also to emphasize on this, this is what we're doing to begin with. Nothing is saying that we're going to change this in the future and, implement Lightning Network and all the tech that is coming. We're very tech driven, right? So we're looking at these different options all the time. Or can you add something about that?
No, yeah, I think you're exactly right. I mean, this also goes back to, for example, the decision that we were able to make with Sandwire and Fireblocks. Like the way we sort of approach building a product is good in that sense, because it's sort of modular, and we can sort of shift things in and out. And if we see that the blockchain ecosystem can provide the level of UX that we want to provide, then we can start switching to that and make it more and more decentralized. We're definitely open to that. I mean, for us, that would be the perfect world, right? If we could do that.
Yeah. Actually, now we've had 30 minutes, but I think we have a few questions still that we want to answer. So let's go over time a bit. You fine with that, Sebastian?
Definitely. I think this is a lot of fun, and I think it's also cool. Yeah,
we're gonna do this more often. I'll definitely bring you on board, and I think the Castians really enjoy hearing you talk about the tech and everything related in that sense. So here's another question that we have. How will you enable sending crypto to mobile numbers? So how does that actually work?
So since we are a centralized application, we simply look up the phone number in our database and then make the transaction. It's that simple. Like that's one of the sort of benefits of going with the centralized approach, that like having convenience functions like that is just a part of it. It's built in.
Yeah, and we took this. Tell the Castians about where we got this idea from as well. We have a solution in Sweden.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So when we were like discussing this, we were sort of comparing the current state of the crypto world with what we had in Sweden, which is an application called Swish. And for sending money, like it's a couple of years old now, but when it came, it just spread like wildfire, because it was just such a convenient and easy way to send money between each other. So yeah, definitely a lot of cred to them, and we gained a lot of inspiration from them. And we actually think with Kasta that we can bring such an experience to the crypto world.
Yeah, and I mean, when that came out in Sweden, it was revolutionary, right? Because before you could either only spend by cash, like if you want to split bills. I always say split bills, but we're doing it so often in Sweden. When you live with someone and you're going to split, the apartment bill, etc. You can do so in an easy way. If we go out to eat in restaurants and we're 12 people, and you don't want to cover the whole cost of the dinner, then you use Swish. And before Swish came out, you couldn't do this in an easy way. You had to pay either by cash and do a wire transfer. But who actually does a wire transfer? It takes too much time, and it's so inconvenient. So when this came out, everyone started using it, because it was the biggest banks basically in Sweden got together and created this solution, and that's how it became free and instant. And it just eased our life so much. You just brought the app up. It was connected directly to your phone book. You just enter the person you wanted to send funds to, and it was instant and for free. And that's what we wanted to bring to the crypto world. But thanks to crypto, you can do it across borders as well. And you're also able to introduce these beautiful features around it, like yield effects and stuff like that. So, it's bringing best of both worlds, I would say.
100%.
And another thing, can you give a tech overview on how a crypto application is built?
Whoa, that's a really broad question. It sort of depends on what kind of crypto application you're building. So, I mean, you could be building an entire blockchain, right? You could be building just a DApp, like a smart contract. For example, Uniswap would be an example of a DApp, and you could be building like a non-custodial wallet, for example. You could be building crypto infrastructure. So you could be setting up your own nodes and providing them to people, or you could be doing crypto mining. So it all depends on what kind of crypto-related application you want to build. I mean, the sort of crypto application that we've built is sort of a hybrid approach, right? So we're building it in a very, like, the core of it is quite traditional, but everything that we're using is built on top of what's been built in the blockchain ecosystem. So that's also one way of building a crypto application. It all just depends on what you want to do and how you want to do it. The crypto ecosystem is like big and rich, and there's room for a lot of different ways of doing it.
Yeah, and it's just going to expand, right, as we go now. So it's just going to be bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yes, the level of innovation in this field is, yes, it's crazy.
Yeah. All right, Sebastian, that was the last question I was going to ask you for this AMA. So I really appreciate you taking your time, and I really appreciate all the questions out there that took their time to listen in with us. And we are doing this weekly now, actually, where we are bringing more team members on board. Like I said, to show you guys the different experience we have on board of Kasta and what they bring to the table. We're gonna announce the next person very soon, so stay tuned on Twitter and Telegram. And I will see you guys in the next one. Do you have any closing thoughts, Sebastian, to the questions out there?
No, but I would just like to thank you and thank the community and for all the questions. I think this has been a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
Perfect. Yeah, you'll be on a lot of AMAs in the future. You don't have to be worried. All right, Castians. Thank you so much for this. Have a great Sunday, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. See you guys.
Peace.
Bye.